Before you move another step, listen carefully. What you have called delay may not be delay at all. What you have called silence may not mean that I have left you. What you have called loss may not be the end of your story. I am speaking to the part of you that has been tired from trying to understand why certain doors closed, why certain people changed, why certain plans failed, and why the path ahead sometimes feels hidden. Do not allow confusion to convince you that I am absent. I have been guiding you in ways you did not recognize. I have been protecting you in moments you thought you were being rejected. I have been preparing you in seasons you believed were wasting your time. Stay with this message until the end, because what I am revealing to you is not only meant to comfort your heart, it is meant to help you understand how to walk wisely through the season you are living in. There are times when I begin changing your life from the inside before anything around you appears different. Before the new door opens, I strengthen your spirit. Before the provision becomes visible, I teach you how to trust. Before I place greater responsibility in your hands, I reshape the way you think. You often ask me to change your circumstances, but I also see the person who will have to carry the blessing you are asking for. That is why the hidden work matters. You may think nothing is happening because you cannot yet see the evidence, but growth is often invisible before it becomes undeniable. You have looked at your quiet season and called it stagnation. I have called it preparation. You have looked at the closed door and called it failure. I have called it protection. You have looked at the waiting and called it abandonment. I have called it timing. Do not measure my work only by what has already appeared in front of you. Learn to pay attention to what is changing within you. Are you becoming more discerning? Are you learning to release what drains your peace? Are you beginning to question patterns that once controlled you? Are you discovering strength you did not know you possessed? Then something is happening. The transformation has already begun. My child, I do not want you to build your future with the same fears that helped you survive your past. There are mindsets you carried because you were trying to protect yourself from disappointment. You learned to expect less so that pain would hurt less. You learned to remain silent so that others would accept you. You learned to make yourself smaller because being fully seen felt dangerous. But I did not create you to spend your entire life apologizing for the gifts and purpose placed within you. You cannot enter a new season while continually agreeing with an old identity. This is why some of your greatest battles are happening in your thoughts. One part of you wants to move forward, while another part still whispers that you are not ready. One part of you can feel that change is necessary, while another part wants to return to what is familiar. Understand this: familiar does not always mean right. Comfortable does not always mean safe. Easy does not always mean aligned. Sometimes, the place you are outgrowing will feel safer than the place I am leading you toward because you already know its limits. But purpose requires trust beyond what you can control. I am teaching you to listen more deeply. Not every direction will arrive with noise. Sometimes, guidance comes through a growing lack of peace about something you once accepted. Sometimes, it comes through a restlessness that refuses to disappear. Sometimes, it comes through clarity after you finally stop forcing what no longer fits. Pay attention to what consistently pulls you away from wisdom, peace, and truth. Also pay attention to what awakens courage, responsibility, and a deeper sense of purpose within you. This is not an invitation to act impulsively. It is an invitation to become discerning. Do not confuse surrender with doing nothing. Surrender means releasing the desperate need to control every outcome. Trust means continuing to take wise steps even when you do not know every detail ahead. Obedience means responding faithfully to the truth you have already been given instead of demanding a complete map before you move. There are things you already know you need to change. There are conversations you need to stop feeding. There are habits you know are weakening your focus. There are opportunities you need to approach with greater courage. Begin there. Do not wait for a dramatic sign to obey the wisdom already placed before you. If these words speak to your heart, and you agree that you must trust the process even when you cannot see the whole path, type yes in the comments. Let that simple response become a reminder that fear will not make your decisions for you. There are blessings you cannot receive while both hands are still gripping yesterday. This does not mean that every loss is easy or that every ending immediately makes sense. Some separations will hurt, some changes will leave questions, some transitions will feel like walking through unfamiliar territory. But when a season has truly ended, trying to keep it alive through force will only exhaust you. Release what you cannot control and ask me for wisdom about what you should do next. You may be entering a wilderness season, but the wilderness is not proof that your future has disappeared. It can become the place where distractions lose their power and your discernment grows stronger. In the quiet, you begin to recognize which voices shaped you. In the waiting, you discover whether your faith depends only on visible results. In the uncertainty, you learn whether you can remain faithful without immediate answers. Do not waste this season by only asking when it will end. Also ask what it is teaching you. I am preparing you to become someone who can carry greater responsibility without losing your peace, greater influence without losing your humility, and greater provision without returning to fear. The next chapter requires more than a new environment. It requires a renewed inner life. That is why your thoughts matter, your choices matter, your relationships matter, your habits matter. What you repeatedly allow around you eventually shapes what you believe about yourself. So examine your life with honesty. Where are you forcing what should be released? Where are you shrinking because you fear the opinions of others? Where are you waiting for certainty when you already have enough wisdom to take one faithful step? Apply these questions to your life today. Write down what needs to change. Pray over it. Seek wisdom. Then move with patience instead of panic. I am not asking you to become perfect overnight. I am asking you to become willing. Willingness opens the door to growth. Willingness allows you to learn. Willingness helps you admit when an old pattern no longer serves your purpose. You do not need to know everything about tomorrow to live wisely today. And when you begin to feel anxious about provision, remember that your life is more than the struggle of forcing every result. Continue to work faithfully, continue to grow, continue to prepare, but do not make striving your identity. There is a difference between faithful effort and fearful exhaustion. One is rooted in purpose. The other is rooted in the belief that everything will collapse unless you control it. Release that burden. Do what is yours to do, and trust me with what is beyond your reach. You are not being asked to deny your challenges. You are being asked to stop allowing challenges to define your future. The door that closed is not the only door. The relationship that changed is not the whole story. The season that disappointed you does not have the authority to name what comes next. Learn from it, grieve honestly, and keep moving forward with wisdom. If you feel strengthened and happy by these words, take a moment to like this message, subscribe to this channel, and share it with someone who may need encouragement today. And if you want to support this ministry so that more people can receive messages of faith, hope, and encouragement, you can use the link given below. Let your support become part of helping these words reach another heart. Now continue watching because this journey goes deeper. I want to show you why some things are leaving your life, how to recognize true alignment, and how to walk through transition without allowing fear to rule you. Do not rush away from the process. The lesson is already becoming part of you. What feels like an ending may be clearing space for greater purpose, clearer direction, and a stronger version of who you are becoming. Keep your heart open, keep your steps honest, and trust that even when you cannot see the whole road, you can still walk faithfully through the next step. Now listen carefully, because not everything leaving your life is meant to destroy you. Some things are leaving because they no longer belong to the person you are becoming. You have been asking why certain relationships feel different, why some conversations now drain you, why places that once felt comfortable now leave you restless. Do not immediately assume something is wrong. Sometimes discomfort is not a warning that you are lost. Sometimes it is evidence that you are changing. You cannot continue carrying every old identity into a new season. There are versions of yourself that were created only to survive difficult moments. They helped you endure, but they were never meant to become your permanent identity. I am teaching you to release fear, scarcity, insecurity, and the constant need for approval. You cannot walk freely while carrying the expectations of everyone around you. This is why separation can feel painful before it becomes clear. You may lose what you thought you needed. An opportunity may disappear. A friendship may change. A familiar path may suddenly close. Do not hold every ending with bitterness. Pause and ask what this transition is revealing. Sometimes I remove what you have outgrown so you can finally recognize what truly belongs in your next chapter. I want you to learn the difference between loneliness and divine solitude. Loneliness can make you believe that you have been forgotten. Solitude can give you space to hear what noise once covered. When your life becomes quieter, do not immediately fill every empty space with distractions. Sit with yourself. Pray. Reflect. Examine your patterns. Ask where fear has been making decisions for you. Chosen one, your next season requires discernment. Not everyone should have access to your deepest plans. Not every opinion deserves authority over your future. Protect your peace without becoming proud. Set boundaries without becoming bitter. Release what harms your growth without hating the people involved. Wisdom allows you to walk away with peace. If this message is helping you understand your season, type Amen in the comments. Let it remind you that every uncomfortable transition is not a punishment. There is a difference between forcing a path and faithfully walking one. When you are constantly exhausting yourself trying to keep something alive, ask whether you are acting from purpose or fear. You do not need to control every result. Take responsibility for your choices, but release the burden of controlling what belongs beyond your hands. Surrender is not weakness. It is the courage to trust without having every answer. Today, apply this message practically. Identify one relationship, habit, thought pattern, or fear that is preventing your growth. Do not simply complain about it. Take one wise action. Pray about it, seek clarity, establish a boundary, change a habit, or take the next faithful step. I am not finished with you. What feels like an empty space may become room for something better. What feels like separation may become protection. What feels like uncertainty may become the beginning of deeper trust. Stay until the end of this message, because I will continue showing you how to recognize alignment, trust your provision, and walk through change without allowing fear to control your future. The transition is not the end of your purpose. It is part of your preparation. Now listen closely, because I want to speak to the part of you that has become tired from trying to understand why the road ahead is not as clear as you expected. You thought that when you finally began to move toward purpose, everything would immediately make sense. You expected the signs to become obvious, the doors to open easily, and the answers to arrive quickly. But instead, you found yourself standing between what was and what is still to come. The old season no longer fits you, yet the new season has not fully appeared. This place can feel confusing, but do not mistake the in-between for being lost. You are in a transition, and transition is often where your deepest transformation begins. There are things I cannot allow you to carry into the future because they would become weights upon the person you are becoming. Some old fears must remain behind, some habits must lose their power, some expectations must be released, some voices must become quieter, some ways of thinking must be challenged. You cannot ask for a greater life while refusing to examine the beliefs that keep you small. Elevation is not only about receiving something new, it is also about becoming willing to release what no longer belongs. This is why you may feel as though your tolerance for certain things is changing. Chaos that once seemed normal may now exhaust you. Meaningless conversations may leave you empty. Distractions that once entertained you may now feel like stolen time. This is not because you are better than other people. It is because you are becoming more aware of what shapes your spirit and your future. Discernment is growing within you. Do not ignore this growth. Pay attention to what repeatedly pulls you away from peace and wisdom. Pay attention to the environments where you constantly become the version of yourself you are trying to leave behind. Pay attention to relationships that require you to abandon your values simply to remain accepted. You do not have to hate anyone in order to create healthy distance. You do not have to become angry in order to choose peace. Sometimes, the most mature decision is to bless someone and still recognize that you cannot continue walking in the same direction. I am teaching you that selective access is not selfishness. Wisdom does not give every person the same place in your life. Some people may know you, but they do not understand your purpose. Some may love you, yet still be unable to carry the vision that is growing within you. Some relationships belong to a previous season and were never designed to continue into every chapter. Do not destroy yourself trying to make everyone comfortable with the direction your life is taking. My child, your purpose will sometimes require you to disappoint the expectations of people who only knew the version of you that was afraid to change. This can be painful, but you must learn the difference between disappointing someone and doing something wrong. You are not required to remain trapped simply because others became comfortable with your old limitations. Growth may change the way people see you. Let your character remain humble, but do not allow guilt to make your decisions. I also want you to understand something about provision. Provision is not only money. Provision can arrive as wisdom, strength, discipline, opportunity, peace, the right relationship, a new perspective, or the courage to take action. Sometimes you are praying for a visible answer, while I am first giving you the inner ability to recognize and handle that answer when it arrives. Do not overlook what is already developing inside you. You may not yet see the entire future, but you can begin preparing for it today. If you are asking for new opportunities, develop your skills. If you are asking for greater peace, examine what you repeatedly allow into your mind. If you are asking for stronger relationships, become more honest and emotionally mature. If you are asking for provision, learn responsibility with what you already have. Faith does not mean waiting passively for life to change. Faith also means preparing yourself to respond wisely when opportunity appears. If you believe that this season is teaching you to grow instead of merely wait, type, "I am ready" in the comments. Let those words remind you that preparation is also progress. There is another reason the hidden season is important. It teaches you whether you can trust me when there is no applause. Many people can remain faithful when everything is visible and successful. The deeper test comes when nobody understands what you are doing, when the results are slow, and when you must continue with integrity without immediate recognition. Learn to value the work that happens in private. Do not build your identity around being noticed. Build it around becoming trustworthy. Do not become obsessed with appearing successful. Become disciplined enough to grow. Do not chase every opportunity simply because it looks impressive. Learn to recognize whether it aligns with your values and purpose. Not every open door is your door, and not every closed door is your loss. Wisdom asks deeper questions. When you feel uncertain, return to what you know is true. Take the next responsible step. Do not demand that tomorrow reveal itself before you complete today's assignment. Many people become overwhelmed because they try to carry the future before they have finished the present. Come back to today. What can you learn today? What can you improve today? What conversation requires honesty today? What habit requires discipline today? What fear must you stop feeding today? This is how alignment becomes practical. Alignment is not only an emotional feeling, it is expressed through your decisions. If you want peace, create boundaries that protect it. If you want growth, make room for learning. If you want a different future, stop repeating the same destructive patterns while hoping for a different outcome. Prayer and action can walk together. Trust and responsibility can walk together. You are not being asked to control the entire journey. You are being asked to walk faithfully through the portion you can see. Stop punishing yourself because you do not have every answer. Clarity often grows while you move. Courage often develops after you take the first step. Strength is often discovered when life requires more from you than you believe you could carry. There will be moments when you want to return to what is familiar simply because the unknown feels uncomfortable. Remember that the old version of your life may feel safe only because you understand its limits. But if you continue returning to what you have already outgrown, you may delay the growth you had been praying for. Do not romanticize what once kept you small. You are changing, and change requires patience. You may make mistakes while learning. You may need to begin again. You may discover that a direction was not right and need to adjust. This does not mean you have failed. Wisdom includes correction. Humility allows you to learn. A mature life is not one that never makes mistakes. It is one that refuses to remain unchanged after receiving truth. So today, stop measuring your progress only by visible results. Measure it also by what you are becoming. Are you more honest than before? Are you more disciplined? Are you more willing to release what harms you? Are you learning to respond rather than react? Are you becoming less dependent on the approval of others? These are signs of growth that no one can always see immediately, but they will eventually shape everything you touch. I want you to stay focused through this transition. Do not allow temporary confusion to make permanent decisions for you. Do not let one closed door convince you that every future door will remain closed. Do not let one painful relationship convince you that every relationship will bring pain. Do not allow a difficult season to become your permanent identity. Seasons change, lessons remain, and the person who learns wisely can walk into the next chapter stronger than before. If these words are helping you see your life with new clarity, comment, "I choose trust," below. Let that declaration become a small decision you carry with you after this message ends. And keep watching until the end, because there is still more I want to place in your heart. I want to help you understand why surrender does not mean giving up, why true provision often begins before you can see it, and why the path ahead may become clearer when you finally stop trying to control every part of it. You are not empty without purpose. You are not forgotten in the hidden season. You are learning, growing, releasing, and preparing. What feels uncertain today may one day reveal the wisdom behind the journey. Until then, remain open, remain teachable, remain faithful with what is already in your hands. Protect your peace, examine your choices, and continue taking the next wise step. You do not need to force the future into existence. You need to become ready to recognize it when it arrives. Listen to me carefully now, because there comes a moment in every season of transformation when you must decide whether you will continue carrying fear or begin walking with trust. You cannot move forward while constantly demanding proof of every step before you take it. You cannot discover the strength waiting within you if you refuse every situation that requires courage, and you cannot experience the freedom of surrender while your hands remain tightly closed around everything you are trying to control. I know that part of you wants certainty. You want to know how the story will unfold. You want to know when provision will arrive, which door will open, who will remain, and what tomorrow will look like. But if I showed you every detail before you learn to trust, you might become dependent on information instead of becoming anchored in faith. There are lessons that only the journey can teach you. There are strengths that only responsibility can awaken. There are answers that become clear only after you have grown enough to understand them. This is why surrender is so important. Surrender is not giving up on your purpose. Surrender is giving up the exhausting belief that you must control every outcome. It means releasing the need to force what is not opening. It means stopping the endless struggle to make people understand what they have already decided not to hear. It means refusing to sacrifice your peace in order to keep something alive that has already reached its ending. You have spent too much time believing that effort alone determines your future. Yes, be responsible. Yes, work faithfully. Yes, learn, prepare, and take action. But do not turn your effort into an idol. There is a difference between working with purpose and working from panic. One gives strength. The other consumes you. One allows you to rest after faithful action. The other whispers that you must keep pushing or everything will disappear. I do not want fear to become the engine of your life. When fear controls you, you begin saying yes to things that destroy your peace. You begin staying where you know you should live. You begin accepting less because you are terrified that nothing better will come. You begin running after every opportunity because you believe there may never be another one. But fear is a poor guide. Learn to pause before making important decisions. Ask yourself, am I moving because this is wise, or because I am afraid? Am I holding on because this truly belongs in my life, or because I fear emptiness? Am I chasing this opportunity because it aligns with my purpose, or because I need someone to validate me? These questions may be uncomfortable, but honest questions can protect you from unnecessary pain. My child, your worth is not determined by how much you can force into existence. Your value does not rise when people praise you and disappear when they ignore you. You are not valuable only when you are productive, successful, wealthy, or admired. Learn to separate your identity from your temporary circumstances. If you build your identity only on what you achieve, then every setback will make you question who you are. But when your identity becomes rooted in truth, you can face changing circumstances without losing yourself. This is one of the greatest transformations taking place within you. I am teaching you to stop living from a survival identity. Survival says, take whatever you can because there may not be enough tomorrow. Survival says, never rest because someone may take your place. Survival says, hide your gifts because visibility is dangerous. Survival says, trust nobody and control everything. But purpose teaches you a different way to live. Purpose teaches you responsibility without panic. Purpose teaches you discernment without suspicion. Purpose teaches you humility without self-rejection. Purpose teaches you patience without passivity. You can prepare without becoming anxious. You can work without becoming consumed. You can release without becoming bitter. You can wait without believing that your life has stopped. If you are ready to release the need to control everything and take your next step with greater trust, type "I surrender" in the comments. Let those words become more than a response. Let them remind you to release one burden you were never meant to carry alone. There is also something important you must understand about timing. Timing is not always visible when you are standing inside the process. You may look at someone else's life and believe that they are ahead while you are being left behind. But comparison will make you blind to the work happening in your own journey. You do not know every battle they have faced, and they do not know every lesson you are learning. Stop using another person's timeline as a weapon against yourself. Your life has its own assignments, responsibilities, and seasons. What looks slow to you may be developing qualities that will matter later. The patience you are learning now may protect you from making a reckless decision tomorrow. The discernment you are developing now may help you recognize an opportunity you once would have missed. The boundaries you are building now may protect the peace you have prayed for. Do not call the process meaningless simply because the result is not visible yet. Sometimes provision begins with a change in perspective. You may believe you need more resources when what you first need is better stewardship of what is already in your hands. You may believe you need a new opportunity when what you need is the courage to use the ability you already possess. You may believe you need someone else to rescue you when you first need the confidence to make a decision you have been postponing. Look honestly at what is already available to you. What skill can you develop? What relationship can you strengthen? What responsibility have you neglected? What habit can you improve? What knowledge can you gain? Take responsibility for your next step instead of waiting for a perfect moment that may never arrive. This does not mean every problem can be solved through effort alone. Some things remain beyond your control. That is where trust becomes essential. Do what wisdom allows you to do, then release what you cannot command. Stop carrying tomorrow before it arrives. Stop fighting battles in your imagination that have not happened. Stop allowing fear to create disasters that exist only in your thoughts. Come back to the present moment. Breathe, pray, reflect. Ask for wisdom. Then take the next faithful step. There will be times when the next step feels small. Do not despise it. A small act of discipline repeated consistently can change a life. One honest conversation can end years of misunderstanding. One boundary can protect your peace. One new habit can reshape your future. One courageous decision can redirect an entire season. You do not have to transform everything today. Begin with what you can honestly change now. If your mind is filled with fear, examine what you are repeatedly feeding your mind. If your life feels scattered, create structure. If you are exhausted, Examine where you are giving energy without purpose. If you are waiting for an opportunity, use the waiting period to become more prepared. This is how faith becomes practical. It is not only spoken in emotional moments, it is demonstrated through the way you live after the message ends. Do not merely agree with truth. Apply it. Do not merely say that you want change. Create space for it. Do not merely ask for guidance. Become willing to obey the wisdom you receive. You are being shaped in this season. Every challenge does not mean you are being punished. Every closed door does not mean you are rejected. Every quiet moment does not mean you are forgotten. Sometimes the silence is giving you room to hear yourself clearly. Sometimes the ending is creating space for a beginning. Sometimes the delay is preventing you from arriving before you are ready. Keep walking, keep learning, keep becoming honest about what must change. Do not return to an old identity simply because the future feels unfamiliar. You have already learned too much to become comfortable with what once kept you small. Comment: I will trust the process. If you believe this season can still produce something meaningful in your life, then carry this truth with you when you leave this message. You do not need to see the entire road to take the next wise step. Stay with me until the end, because the final part will bring these lessons together. I will speak to you about receiving what comes next with a prepared heart, recognizing the difference between fear and true guidance, protecting your peace, and stepping into the future without dragging yesterday behind you. You are not standing at the end of your story. You are standing in a season of becoming, and the person you are growing into will see the road differently. Now, beloved one, come with me to the final truth. I want you to carry from this message. Do not allow everything you have experienced to become only a collection of painful memories. Let it become wisdom. Let the closed doors teach you discernment. Let the waiting teach you patience. Let the disappointments teach you where you placed your trust too quickly. Let the quiet seasons teach you how to hear beyond the noise. And let the moments when you thought you were losing everything remind you that not everything leaving your hands was meant to remain there forever. You are coming to a point where you must stop asking only, "Why did this happen to me?" and begin asking, "What can I learn from this, and how can I walk differently now?" This question can change the way you see your life. You cannot always control what happens around you, but you can choose what you allow the experience to produce within you. Pain can make you bitter, or it can make you wiser. Delay can make you hopeless, or it can teach you preparation. Separation can make you believe you are abandoned, or it can teach you the importance of discernment. I want you to understand that transformation is not complete simply because you feel inspired for one moment. True transformation continues when the emotion settles and real life begins again. It continues when you wake up tomorrow and choose a healthier thought. It continues when you refuse to return to a habit that once controlled you. It continues when you create a boundary even though someone may not understand it. It continues when you take responsibility for something you once avoided. This is how your future begins changing. Not always through one dramatic event, but through repeated decisions that slowly reshape your direction. Do not underestimate the power of consistency. The person you are becoming is shaped by what you repeatedly choose. If you repeatedly choose fear, fear becomes familiar. If you repeatedly choose distraction, distraction begins to rule your attention. But if you repeatedly choose wisdom, discipline, honesty, and faith, those choices gradually become part of your life. You have been asking me to guide you, and I have been teaching you how to recognize guidance. Guidance does not always come as a loud voice or a dramatic sign. Sometimes it comes as a truth you cannot ignore any longer. Sometimes it comes as a repeated realization that a certain pattern must change. Sometimes it comes through wise counsel. Sometimes it comes when peace returns after you finally stop forcing something that was never meant for you. Learn to pay attention without becoming obsessed with signs. Do not turn every small event into a message about your future. Instead, become grounded. Seek wisdom. Examine your motives. Pray honestly. Allow time to reveal what emotion cannot always see clearly. True discernment is not panic searching for hidden meanings. Discernment is learning to recognize what produces truth, wisdom, peace, responsibility, and healthy growth. My child, do not be afraid of becoming different from who you were. You have spent enough time trying to remain understandable to people who may never fully understand your journey. You do not need to explain every change in your life. Let your character speak. Let your actions show the growth taking place within you. Remain humble, but do not return to old limitations simply to make others comfortable. You are allowed to outgrow what once felt permanent. You are allowed to change your mind after learning something new. You are allowed to walk away from what repeatedly destroys your peace. You are allowed to begin again after discovering that the path you chose was not the right one. Growth does not always move in a straight line. Sometimes you will take a step, learn something, adjust, and continue. Do not call yourself a failure simply because your journey required correction. If you are ready to stop carrying yesterday into tomorrow, comment, "I'm moving forward." Let that be a simple declaration that you will not allow fear to keep rewriting your future. Now let me speak to you about provision one more time. You may be looking toward the future and wondering how everything will work out. You may have questions about your finances, your opportunities, your family, your purpose, or the path you are trying to build. Do not allow unanswered questions to become proof that nothing good can happen. Uncertainty is not the same as emptiness. Provision may already be moving toward you in forms you have not yet recognized. It may begin with a lesson that changes the way you think. It may begin with a skill you finally decide to develop. It may begin with a person who brings wise counsel into your life. It may begin with an opportunity that appears small but grows through faithful stewardship. It may begin with the courage to stop wasting your energy on what cannot grow. Do not despise small beginnings. Many people miss meaningful opportunities because they are waiting for something dramatic. They want the entire answer, while the first step looks ordinary. They want immediate abundance, while wisdom is asking them to become faithful with what is already available. Begin where you are. Use what you have. Learn what you do not know. Prepare for what you are praying for. You cannot control every door, but you can prepare yourself to recognize the right one. You cannot control every person's decision, but you can decide how you will respond. You cannot force every opportunity to remain, but you can become someone who is ready when the right opportunity arrives. Stop exhausting yourself by fighting for what refuses to open. What is truly aligned with your purpose will not require you to abandon your values to keep it. This does not mean the right path will always be easy. Purpose can require courage, sacrifice, patience, and discipline. But there is a difference between a difficult path that is helping you grow and a destructive pattern that repeatedly steals your peace. Learn the difference. A challenge can strengthen you. Chaos can consume you. Responsibility can mature you. Fear can imprison you. As you move forward, protect your inner life. Do not allow every voice to enter your mind. Not every opinion deserves a permanent place in your heart. Be careful what you repeatedly watch, listen to, believe, and speak over yourself. If you fill your mind with constant fear, you will eventually begin expecting disaster. If you constantly compare yourself to others, you will forget the work happening in your own life. Return your attention to your own assignment. There is work you must do. There are gifts you must develop. There are responsibilities you must face. There are lessons you must apply. Do not waste another season waiting for someone else to become the answer to your life. Take the next wise step available to you. You have more strength than the fearful version of you believed. You have survived seasons that once seemed impossible. You have learned lessons that can now protect your future. You have seen what happens when you ignore your own inner warning. You have experienced the cost of forcing what should have been released. Use that knowledge wisely. Do not return to the same cycle simply because it is familiar. Today, choose one practical action. Perhaps you need to organize your life. Perhaps you need to forgive someone and stop carrying resentment. Perhaps you need to create a healthier routine. Perhaps you need to begin learning a skill. Perhaps you need to stop delaying an important conversation. Perhaps you simply need to rest and allow your exhausted mind to become clear again. Apply the message. Do not let these words become only something you heard. Let them become something you practice. Every meaningful change begins when truth enters your choices. And if these words have brought peace, strength, or clarity to your heart, take a moment to like this message, subscribe to this channel, and share it with someone who may be walking through a difficult season. If you feel happy with these words and want to support my ministry so that messages of faith and encouragement can continue reaching more lives, you can support through the link given below. Stay close to the truth you have received today. You are not required to know every detail before moving forward. You are not required to control every outcome before taking action. You are not required to remain trapped in the identity created by your past. I have been guiding you through lessons, transitions, endings, quiet seasons, and new beginnings. What you thought was wasted may still become wisdom. What you thought was a delay may still become preparation. What you thought was an ending may still create space for a better beginning. So walk forward with a prepared heart. Release what no longer belongs. Protect your peace. Use your gifts. Develop your wisdom. Take responsibility for the step in front of you. Trust without becoming passive. Work without becoming consumed. Wait without becoming hopeless. Your life is still moving. Your story is still unfolding. And the season ahead does not have to be controlled by the fear you carried from the season behind you. Let yesterday teach you, but do not let it imprison you. Let the hidden season prepare you, but do not call it your final destination. You are becoming stronger, wiser, clearer, and more prepared. Continue forward. Continue learning. Continue trusting. The road may not reveal everything at once, but you can still walk faithfully, one wise step at a time.